Hi, welcome back to my channel, Beautiful Minutia. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany, and today I'm going to talk to you about the books that I'm planning to read in August. August feels a little bit like crunch time for summer book bingo. If this is your first time hearing about my summer book bingo challenge, I'll link my announcement video. It's essentially just what it sounds like. It's a summer book bingo board, and there is a giveaway associated with it, and every single bingo counts as an entry into the giveaway, so you don't have to black out your board to be entered in. But if you do black out your board, that's 12 entries. So anyways, for August, I have some books on this list that are buddy reads or I'm reading for various challenges or whatever. But then I also have some books that I'm trying to fill in those last little gaps in my summer book bingo board that I don't have a place for yet. Okay, let's start with books that I'm reading as group reads. So for my in-person book club, we are going to be reading Clara and the Sun, which I've heard mixed things about. Some people love this and some people don't. So I kind of am not really sure where I'm going to land on this, especially because I kind of have mixed feelings about both of the Ishiguro books that I've previously read. There are things I like about them and things that I don't. So I could land anywhere on this, but I think it's going to be a book that has a lot of really great discussion because I'm pretty sure it's about a robot who is like gaining some sentience, I think, and is experiencing the world for the first time. So I feel like that could be some really interesting conversations. For my Patreon, we are going to be reading Old Herbaceous, and this sounds really, really fun. I decided that I wanted to do a garden themed book for August because it just feels perfect for summertime. So this is the book that won. And in the descriptions that I've seen of this book, it's often compared to PG Wodehouse. So that makes me think it's going to be like quirky and funny and more lighthearted. But you never know when people do comparisons like that. So I don't want to go into it with like this hyped expectation of what I think it's going to be. But I'm really, really excited to read it because it sounds like it's going to be really fun about kind of like a crotchety old man taking care of a garden. I also have a few buddy reads. Well, more than a few, like 4 buddy reads going on in August. So I'm going to be starting the Lycanius trilogy with my friend Whitney. Whitney is my series buddy through and through. I am a notorious series starter and not necessarily a notorious series finisher. But if I'm reading a series with Whitney, I will finish it. She helps keep me accountable and keeps me going. So we're going to be reading The Shadow of What Was Lost, which I'm really excited about. I've heard really good things. I hear James Islington's name all over the place lately, and I know that Lycanius is definitely like a popular series of his, but I'm hearing even more about The Will of the Many and the subsequent books in that series, which I think is unfinished at this time. I think there's 1 book left to go in that series to come out. So if I really like Lycanius, then I'm going to be even more excited to dive into The Will of the Many. I don't know that much about what this is about, to be honest. I know that it has an academic setting, which I am a sucker for in a fantasy. I also hear all the time that he has really good world building and stuff, so that's another thing that I'm always very interested in fantasies. I'm going to be continuing the Anne of Green Gables series with Stephanie. So we've read the first 4 so far this year, and so next up is Anne's House of Dreams. So I'm really, really excited to read this one. I'm at the point now in the series where I don't remember anything about the books because I haven't read them since I was like a young teenager, like 14 at the oldest. So I don't remember anything that happens in this one, but I'm really looking forward to some of our main characters being back together after they were separated in the last book. The last book was Anne writing letters to someone she separated from. I don't want to say too much because if you haven't read the Anne books, I don't want to spoil it for you since this is, book 5. But I just love Ella Montgomery's writing. It's always lyrical, beautiful nature writing. There's always lots of humor, and then there's also just so much optimism and creativity in the part of Anne, and that's just something I love. I think I might have accidentally lied to you and I might only have 3 buddy reads for August. I thought it was 4, so if I'm forgetting you, please let me know. But with Dia in August, I'm going to be reading Mornings at 7 by Eric Malpass. And I don't know anything about this book. Dia sent it to me because she's like, this sounds like this would be an amazing buddy read. Can we read this together? And so this is the first in a series about a family called the Pentecost family. And that's just about all I know about it. On the back, it says 3 generations of the Pentecost family live in a state of permanent disarray in a huge, sprawling farmhouse. 7-year-old Gaylord Pentecost is the innocent hero who observes the lives of the adults. Grandma, Mama, and Papa, and 2 aunties with amusement and incredulity. So, sounds like it's gonna be fun and probably hilarious, the takes that a small child has on like what drama is going on in the adults' lives around him. And it's probably going to be heartwarming as well. So this is an author I had never heard of, and I'd never heard of the book, so I'm really interested to read this one with you. The last book that I had previously planned to read in August that was like part of my set plans, not trying to fill a bingo board, but part of my set plans, was Nathan Coulter by Wendell Berry, and I am so excited to read this. I actually put this on my 5-star predictions for the quarter because I think I'm going to love it. I read a collection of Wendell Berry's short stories last year with my in-person book club, and it ended up being one of my favorite books of the year, so I really have been highly anticipating reading some more Wendell Berry this year. And so Nathan Coulter is actually his debut novel, and he wrote a lot of, well, I think maybe all of his works take place in this one area in Kentucky. And so we follow different family members throughout different generations, depending on which book that you're reading. So Nathan was a character in some of the short stories that were in the collection that I read, as was his wife, Hannah. And I would like to read Hannah Coulter after I read Nathan Coulter. So hopefully I can get to that. My plan is to get to it in September. We'll see, but I'm so excited to read more Wendell Berry. He also has really beautiful nature writing, plus his stories are set in Kentucky, which is always a plus for me. I just really love his writing and his characters and the things that he has to say in his stories. Okay, now we're at the point where anything else I'm mentioning is just going to be, trying to fill up a space. So one of the spaces on my bingo board is the shortest book on your TBR, and I misplaced my copy. So hopefully I can find it because that's going to make it hard for me to read it otherwise. But Passing by Nella Larson is a book that I've been meaning to read for a while. I've heard really, really wonderful things about it. So I really, really want to get to this one. It would fit in that space perfectly. This is a story about a Black woman who is light enough that she can pass for white, and kind of like her life experience doing that. And so really, really want to read that. I also need something to fill the short story or novella space, which is easy to fill because short stories are really short. But I have a novella that I'm borrowing from Whitney, and that's Chess Story by Stefan Zweig. Zweig? I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know a ton about this. I know that Murphy Napier loved this, and I think that's why Whitney picked it up. And I was at Whitney's house looking at her bookshelves, and I was like, oh, you have Chess Story. And she's like, you want to borrow it? And I'm like, yes, I do. So it's wonderful to have like a lending library between like in-person friends, because between us, we own a lot of books that our library does not carry. So really excited to read this one. I think that this has to do with like someone who is obsessing about chess and playing chess games in his mind. The back really doesn't tell me much. On a great ocean liner, the world champion of chess confronts a lawyer with a surprising talent for the game and a tense contest of wit and will. How the lawyer acquired his skill and at what terrible cost are the substance of the story, in which, at the same time, quietly but unmistakably, the death knell of the Enlightenment is sounded. So that doesn't tell me very much, but it's a novella, so I actually don't want it to tell me very much because I don't really want it to be spoiled. So the last thing that I haven't read that I want to read for my bingo board, I mean, there are other spaces that the books I'm reading this month will fill, but one space is a book outside your comfort zone. So I haven't actually decided what book I'm going to read yet, but I feel like something that is super outside my comfort zone would be to read a romance. Because if you know me, you know that romance is my least favorite genre. I would rather read anything than a romance. And oftentimes I have a hard time buying into romantic subplots, even in books that aren't intended to be romances. I struggle with that a bit. And I've kind of diagnosed myself a little bit to realize that I'm more interested in love lived out in a story than like the falling in love and the initial getting together. And I think that that's kind of why I don't care as much, and that's partly because of where I am in my life, that I've been married for 17 years. So I like reading about established love that's lived out, and I feel often that the falling in love tends to be kind of shallow because you don't know the person that well yet and you're falling in love and all those things. So I think that that is part of my issue with romances. But what could be more outside my comfort zone than reading a romance? I think that I might vlog it, but I'm a little hesitant to do that because I don't want to like just absolutely roast someone's favorite book if that's how I end up feeling about it. So if you have a romance that you wouldn't mind me not liking, but you think there's actually a better chance that I could like it, feel free to leave suggestions in the comments. I have a couple in mind. I definitely want a cleaner romance. I do not want to read like open door romance at all. Not even a little. Not a smut girly. It makes me cringe so hard. So I don't want that. But I have a couple books in mind that might work, but I'm curious to hear because it's not a genre that I really pay attention to. In fact, when people review romance books on their channels, they're kind of like in one ear and out the other for me because I'm not really interested usually in picking them up. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Well, those are the books that I'm planning to read in the month of August. I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you've read any of the books that I'm planning to read this month, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd also love to hear what you're planning to read as well. I also wanted to tack a little bit of an announcement on here because my filming schedule is going to change for the next couple of months. August is the month that we go back to school, and I homeschool my daughter, so I'm very actively involved in her education. So obviously there is less free time once we're back to school, and then I'm also going to be preparing to teach at my homeschool co-op, which starts up in September. And so the beginning of the school year is always like me refining my footing to be like, oh my gosh, there's less hours in the day, even though there's not. I'm just spending them differently now. And then it's even more escalated once we start our homeschool group because there's so much work that goes into that. And then it's like an extra day of the week that I'm not even home for pretty much the entirety of the day. So for the months of August and September, possibly October as well, but definitely August and September, I'm going down to filming one video a week. I'm thinking it's probably going to be the one that comes out on Saturday. That's probably what's going to work best for me, but I'm just going to do one video each week. So you will still be getting some videos from me, but you won't have 2 a week like you normally would. I will still be doing extra videos over on my Patreon. So if you're missing me a whole bunch, feel free to jump over there and join me. I always do a bonus video for my $5 tier over there, but then my $5 and $3 tier get an extra video as well, which is me vlogging a book that's been recommended by one of them, and it's a spoilery vlog with like all my thoughts, so they can hear what I thought of the book they recommended to me. So there's always at least 2 bonus videos that are happening over on Patreon every single month. So those will still be continuing. That schedule's not going to change at all. And neither will me doing weekend reading challenges over there with Zoom reading sprints and reading group reads and doing like Zoom discussions for that. Like all of that's going to stay over there. I'm just scaling back on my YouTube channel just a little bit because I've just realized I've been taking so much on that something has to give until I can like kind of find my footing. So this is it. This is what has to give. This is the plate that is being halfway dropped, not totally dropped because I'm not taking a full break. I'm just having the videos that I am creating. Anyway, that's all for this video. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like and also subscribe so you can continue to see more bookish content from me. And I will see you again next time.